On June 24th, 2021, in the midst of a persistent global pandemic, at around 1:30 in the morning, sleeping residents were awakened by loud sounds, shaking walls and floors, and imminent disaster. Some heard the sound and evacuated immediately. Others called loved ones for help. A few reached out to security. They didn't know that they didn't have much time. And then the South Tower came down there in Surfside, Florida. And as a New Yorker and just as a lover of humanity, this collapse hit me so hard. It took me to our own towers. It had me asking questions that hurt. Because when walls come tumbling down, we have to ask questions that hurt. When walls come tumbling down, whether intentionally or accidentally, there's more to the story that we need to know. The dresser of sycamore trees, the tender to flocks, the unprofessional prophesier called to prophesy in a sea of frauds, our prophet Amos was asking the questions. He was a seer, unprepared to see. But he had to do something about what he was learning, and it was clear that God had put him up to this. Because if no one else will see, God must intervene. And in his prophecy, Amos makes some bold proclamations. There is a wall, God says, a wall that was originally built with a plumb line. Now, since you may not know, as many don't, what a plumb line is, I thought I would show you. And here we have a plumb line. Make sure it's in frame. And what you can see is that it's attached to a string, and it basically shows you whether or not a wall is straight. And you need straight walls to be able to have and construct a building. So there's a plumb line. Now you know. So God was saying there is a wall that was originally built with a plumb line, but due to neglect or possibly even outright assault, the wall was warped. And what God wanted the people to understand was that God saw danger, and God had sent signs and warnings, but it wasn't enough. The structure would not hold. And we use, of course, all kinds of metaphors for God, but one we use less than we probably should is builder. And this relates to creation, like we heard last week. God created all things so that they might exist. The generative forces of the world are wholesome, and there is no destructive poison in them. And God is the creative, generative force that builds up what is good. And God builds all the time. But when God builds, we are expected to keep up the maintenance. And plumb line built does not necessarily mean plumb line steady. Engineering requires upkeep. We learned that tragically in Florida. A series of missteps and failures can bring a building down, even if it was originally well built. Which means then that we have responsibilities. We have to stop the walls from crumbling, which means that we can't allow things to happen that shouldn't. We can't ignore things that must be seen. We can't look away from that which God is asking us to notice. God's saying to us, look here, look to my people who are suffering, look to address injustice, look to right the wrongs, look to healing. Look to this beautiful planet I have given you and stop looking away because the wall is warped. Remember, it was Amos who told us God's intentions for this world. Let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. Folks, the truth is that justice and righteousness are the plumb line. Justice and righteousness are our plumb line. Justice and righteousness have to be the driving force behind everything we do. And when they are not, the wall warps. True justice returns us to what we've never known but always have needed, a way to live our very best, not just for some, but for everyone. But the structure, friends, is warped all around us. And God has to continue building anew. Where is our plumb line? Just remember this. A plumb line measures verticality and centeredness and groundedness. Do you hear that? I'm going to say it again. A plumb line measures verticality, centeredness, and groundedness. And the plumb is correct when we are vertically connected to God. The plumb is correct when we are centered in our faith. The plumb is correct when we are grounded in justice and righteousness. So let justice roll. Be mindful. Be mindful of your plumb line and be connected to God. Amen.